warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm standing here in front of the camera with thoughts. I could make and tell you this speech because I have the freedom to think. You, as the audience, have the freedom to think about this speech and critique on it. Everything relates to the thinking of the brain and the thoughts it produced. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Muthiah Rahmah, Nurul Kaunain. I'm in 11th grade of Bintang Pelajar Islamic boarding school, and right now I am going to talk about the freedom of thought. If someone were to ask, what is one thing that could unite but also destroy humankind simultaneously, I would say it is the ability to think. Because thinking is, I think, the most basic thing the human mind can do. Even the most psychotic person in the world still thinks, although, of course, the way that their mind works is different from a normal person. It could unite and strengthen humanity, but it could also do what is much, much worse. We learn to talk, eat by ourselves, and basically accomplish other things in life with the help of thinking. Therefore, that's why I believe that thinking is the most basic ability that the human mind can do. Now, having freedom of thought is such a huge advantage, but it also can be the beginning of the fallout of society. It allows us to make the education system and school is the place where the freedom of thought is needed, right? And it also allows us to think scientifically, which then helps us to develop technologies like cars, washing machines, and phones. It helps us to develop medical science, which then can help save millions and billions of lives. Then finally, it also helps us to think critically about this messed up society. But along with all of them is the reason why the world wars happened in the first place. Essentially, freedom of thought forces us to think about the future as well. So, if thinking is a fundamental ability, then freedom of thought is supposed to be a paramount and an absolute right that every person on this planet Earth has, right? Well, ICCPR, or International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, stated in Article 18 about the freedom of thought that everyone everyone shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right shall include the freedom to have or to adopt a religion or belief of his choice and freedom, either individually or in community with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in worship, observance, practice, and teaching. There we can see that freedom of thought is not the only one that was mentioned. It also mentioned freedom of conscience and freedom of religion. Now about the freedom of religion. Although freedom of thought set the concept of freedom to think and to choose, it has its limits in Islam. Indeed, Islam never and will never forbid its believer to think, yet it highly respects it and actually recommends its believers to hone our thinking skills. Just like what Allah said in Surah An-Nahl verse 1, and He regulated for you the night and the day, and the sun and the moon and the stars are disposed by His command. Surely in that are signs for people who ponder. Islam also allows its believer to study all knowledge, and the main point is how one can sort and choose which one is the best. In Surah Al-Zumar, verse 18, Allah Ta'ala has said that who listen to the word and follow the best meaning of it, such are ones whom Allah has guided, and such are the ones who are endowed with understanding. From the ayah, we can learn that Islam actually rewards people who want to hear all knowledge and choose which one's the best. However, the limitation lies in when the Quran and the Sunnah gave a statement that couldn't be understood by the human mind. After all, the human intelligence cannot surpass the intelligence of Allah, right? This religion that you and I believed in requires faith and taqwa, and they will never be contradictory with each other. They will never be contradictory with our common sense. Because the Quran and the Sunnah and common sense came from Allah. And everything that came from Allah is impossible to be contradicting with each other. Ladies and gentlemen, we should be grateful. We should be grateful that we live in an environment where freedom of thought is guaranteed. We don't need to be afraid to choose. We don't need to be afraid about being a Muslim. And because of that, I thank Allah for this sense of security. Remember what Amr bin Qais said about the true meaning of thinking? If your mind can bind you from inappropriate things, that is when you become a real thinker. That's all from me. Thank you very much for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.